Well, yesterday, the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa said that they will not beg to be in coalition governments in the 66 hung councils across the country. He was reflecting on the governing party's performance in the recently concluded local government elections. The ANC electoral support has dipped below 50% in 6 of the 8 metros, but Ramaphosa says they will not be desperate to form a government just for convenience. He said they will put communities first in all their coalition arrangements. For more analysis, we're now joined by Professor Barry Hanyane. Prof, thanks so very much for being with us here on SABC News. We certainly do appreciate you giving us your time.
Flo, a very good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to your viewers as well.
Yeah, Prof, this coalition conversation or these coalition talks are getting very interesting. You have, on one hand, the ANC, the ruling party, saying that we're not begging anyone to form coalitions with us. And then we have other parties, opposition parties, saying, well, in any case, if there's one party we don't really want to work with, it is the ANC. How do you see this all playing out? One would have thought that, you know, people would be, perhaps some parties would be scrambling to have conversations with the ANC, because at the end of the day, they do, in most instances, have a majority of the votes.
Flo, I wish it was the case, and sadly it's not, based on a number of factors. Amongst others, the ANC is that shooting political target that every opposition party would want to gun for, and on the basis of its position now as a majority party, but more so its immediate track record, which doesn't resonate well with all these, well, at least the majority of these political parties, let alone in urban areas where they have been receiving less support, and if you want to call it less blessings. Who would have thought that Soweto, of all places, a traditional stronghold of the ANC, would actually give Ramaphosa a booing gift, unheard of, unthinkable, but it happened. This is a serious wake-up call for the ANC to say, look, if they don't clean their house, if they don't go back to the resolutions in Nasrec in 2017, basically it's a party that's going to look at the barrel of some oblivion in the near future. And we might not talk about the ANC if things go this way. On the other hand, I think we need to be careful of public pronouncements. When the president comes out to say it's okay to sit on the opposition benches, only if it comes from the very same people who must represent the ANC in municipalities and not him, because he then has the pleasure of the Oval Office, as it were, from a South African point of view. And of course, his position is comfortable. So until we ask those who are foot soldiers, how does it feel to sit in the opposition parties, we are likely to get a different response altogether.
Prof, you know, I find it so interesting that you talk about this possibly being a wake-up call for the ANC. But, you know, judging from, you know, some of these responses, one of which you and I are discussing right now, doesn't seem as though there's any sense of this being a wake-up call for the ANC. I mean, the fact that they are saying, look, we're not begging, that to me is a display of some sort of arrogance. And I don't know, perhaps you see it as bravado or the puffing up of their chest in a way. You would think when one has been certainly humbled in this way that we would start to see some sort of humility and perhaps, you know, being able to approach other parties in a certain way. But it doesn't look that that the ANC wants to do that. And I wonder, from your point of view, is this not the point at which the party should have been displaying some sort of humility?
No, it's too late, Flo. I think the die is cast here. The ANC is aware. Like I said in my opening remarks, look at the person who's delivering the message. If it's the president himself, he is somewhat in a comfortable space. His only pressure is to wait for the NCG next year, as well as the conference, to get his own scorecard from a leadership position. But again, it is those spaces where he's likely to say, let me remind you, I inherited a mess, and this mess culminated in a serious loss in the local government elections. I've issued out an apology letter. I've pretty much engaged every constituency that is sympathetic to the ANC vote. But then on the other hand, there's serious cracks in the alliance. For once, Labour seemed to have taken a back seat in the bus. So all of these problems, the president must navigate. And of course, one way to do so is to then start a new calling, especially to the ANC sevens, and on their behalf, put up such public pronouncements to say they are ready for anything. But if you ask the 600 odd councillors who are today jobless, I'm certain you'll get a different response altogether.
Prof, we're talking about the issue of blackouts or load shedding, and we'd heard from the ANC that they felt that they were being sabotaged, and this certainly had an effect on how the results of the local government elections played out. And I wonder what you make of this. I mean, to me, it's kind of, not being able to tell which sort of stage of grief the ANC is in right now. We've certainly been seeing the part where they were, in denial about the results, and now, attributing a blame to certain things. I wonder if you think that there is, this possibility indeed that they've kind of painted out that this might be sabotage, and if it did have an effect on those results.
Flo, let's not play into conspiracy theories. I mean, really, this is a governing party, for crying out loud. The only sad part is that everything that they touch seems to be going down south. And why is that the case? Not only is Eskom affected here, today we hear Mengo, there's issues there, Dinel, Amsco, and some of the government companies that are not doing well. So why are we as South Africans turning a blind eye on the total scorecard that says the ANC is not basically in charge, and worst case, they've inherited an infrastructure that seems it's becoming a challenge for them, and Eskom being one of them. Worst case about Eskom is that here is an agency that must provide you and me electricity so that we can have a much more, relatively speaking, comfortable life. And yet we find ourselves in the darkness, all thanks to inadequacies, all thanks to mismanagement, all thanks to some kind of inability to basically manage our resources quite well.
All right, yeah. Prof, thanks so very much for being with us here on SABC News. We certainly always appreciate you giving us your input, sir.